So Stormzy's released some reflections for the year, and one of the things he seems to suggest that he got wrong about last year was his collaboration with McDonald's. If you remember, Stormzy had a collaboration with McDonald's where the Stormzy meal came out and he featured a bunch of stuff that I can't remember because I don't really eat McDonald's that much. And that was around January, February time, 2025. And a lot of people came out and said, at the height of what Israel's doing in Gaza, how could you collaborate with McDonald's? Now, the real reason why people were mad at that is because at the start of Israel's campaign in Gaza, some McDonald's franchises in Israel were advertising providing free meals to IDF soldiers. And so they were kind of saw McDonald's as a global corporation as complicit in what Israel was doing to the Palestinians. Now, because of that, a lot of people got mad at Stormzy and said, how can you work with these people? At the time, I made videos saying a lot of this anger is misplaced, and I still feel the same way now. Obviously, in the commentary Stormzy made himself, he doesn't seem to say he regrets it. He kind of says something about it, but then kind of leaves it blank and says, oh, I should have said everyone go away, then I didn't, and blah, blah, blah. The thing to understand about this, and I want to make 2 points about this. First, about the specific issue with Stormzy, and about trying to enact a kind of global BDS more specifically. First thing about Stormzy to understand about McDonald's specifically is that McDonald's operates a franchise model, which means that they sell the name and the likeness and the brand to basically anyone that wants to buy it and start their own McDonald's. So the people that own the franchises in Israel and were selling, giving the IDF soldiers free meals are not the same, clearly, as the people that own the franchises in the UK that Stormzy was collaborating with. Now, they do have to get permission and stuff to use the name to do specific things. And in fact, the McDonald's franchises in question, all of them in Israel, were bought back by the company. So I guess they clearly disagree with this decision or whatever. But Stormzy and the McDonald's in the UK and the McDonald's in Israel have no relation. Even McDonald's on the same street might be owned by two different people. So we don't want to be seen to be persecuting people for making, personal business decisions because of opaque business structures, because the McDonald's in Israel and the one in the UK are totally different. Secondly, in terms of trying to, the intention behind calling on Stormzy to cancel his partnership was good because it was seen that McDonald's was supporting, what the Israeli government is doing. But when we think about trying to boycott, companies that are involved in bad practices, we want to be careful to not make it so general as to make the movement itself meaningless. Practically speaking, McDonald's is kind of too big to boycott for most people. So in as much as you can criticize the decision, trying to boycott it and say, oh, we're going to boycott McDonald's or we're going to call for a boycott of McDonald's is not practical. And when your boycott is not practical, it starts to become meaningless. That's why the official BDS sanctions list has only a very small number of companies in there. Even providing meals, free meals to IDF soldiers, as objectionable as that is, you'd want to draw a distinction between those kind of companies and companies like Israeli defense companies, like Elbit Systems or, other companies that are involved more directly in what's going on. Because if IDF soldiers walked into McDonald's, okay, they're getting free meals, how big of a step is that from getting free meals to they go in there to just buy a meal, or they sign a deal with the McDonald's to provide meals because of some kind of bigger deal that they're signing with the Israeli government? In Israel, everyone has to do conscription. Doesn't make it right. The moral position to do is to reject that. But that just means that the definition of an IDF soldier is extremely broad. If you then start saying like every IDF soldier should be boycotted in that way, it starts to again get impractical because there's some people in Israel who have served in the IDF who now oppose what Israel's doing. There's some people who've rejected that, etc., etc. You don't want to make everyone collectively guilty because then anyone that has any loose connection, it might even get to the point where like any companies working in Israel, you want to boycott. Those things are not really practical. And so that's why I disagreed with the kind of backlash Stormzy was receiving at that time. There should be, and there is, a clear distinction between McDonald's UK and those kind of franchises and the ones in Israel who were offering those deals and who were eventually then bought out. At the time Stormzy made this advert with the McDonald's UK, McDonald's was not even working with those franchise owners that were offering the free IDF meals, and they had bought back all those franchises anyway. So that makes the boycott even more confusing, because what more would you want Stormzy as an individual to be doing, or McDonald's as a corporation to be doing, in as much as, again, profit is their number one focus and they can't be thinking about the geopolitics everywhere. We can't expect, and we shouldn't expect, a company like McDonald's to be coming out and issuing statements against what Israel's doing, because that's not really what they do. And then again, where would that really end? So that's the rationale behind the videos I made then, saying the anger at Stormy is misguided, and I still think so today.